What unfair advantage do you have? I have 3 uncles that are teachers in the subject I'm majoring in, so I have unlimited free tutoring. History, biochemistry. Well, I wasn't born a medieval peasant, so there's that. Come and look at the benefits inherent in the system. Help, I'm being repressed. My parents have never separated and have the healthiest relationship I've ever seen out of my friends' parents. Word. I remember one time my dad took away a DS game I was playing, so I snuck into his room to search for it and swap it with another cartridge. He had a random crap drawer with a bunch of keepsakes and stuff. I saw the game, but it was on top of a stack of letters. Turns out most of the big fights I could remember them having resulted in them writing these deep letters talking about their relationship, what they were sorry for, that sort of thing. Never told them about it, since I was technically snooping through their stuff, but it put their marriage in a totally different perspective to me. They had a lot more disagreements than I realized, but worked through them together. High school sweethearts and still going strong. I hope one day I have that kind of relationship. Me too. Well, I've already missed the high school sweetheart thing, but I guess there's still hope. I was born with a rare blood disease and given medicine cocktails the first 12 years of my life. Now my blood and hemoglobin can carry a crazy amounts of O2 for some reason, and when I go for yearly checkup the lab results look like I'm blood doping. That's dope. No it isn't. He just explained it to you. Why can't you pay more attention, Zach? I'm kinda dumb, so a lot goes over my head, and I never know. Ignorance is bliss. I'm an extroverted contractor. Most people are introverted. Businesses keep me on longer because I can make small talk and even socialize with colleagues. I was told to introduce myself unexpectedly on a call. I panicked and couldn't remember my name for like 5 seconds. So I can't relate. Why this sounds familiar. Oh wait, this happened to me yesterday on an interview call. The interviewer asked whether I understand English or not. LMAO, I hate myself. My parents paid for college, so I never had any student debt. My parents never saved for my college tuition, but I was lucky to find and be accepted to a tuition-free college. I guess my unfair advantage is that I lived with my mom. Her income was low enough for me to be accepted with maximum Pell Grant, but got to go on vacations with my dad who made great money. What is the maximum Pell Grant? I'm interested. My family is incredibly low income. Back when I competed in sports in high school, my body developed polycythemia, a blood thickening disease. Pretty much never got tired. Thicker blood meant more oxygen to my muscles. From what I understand, long distance runners also develop this, as well as people who live in higher altitudes where oxygen is thinner. I could wrestle pretty much non-stop. It was nice. Don't have it anymore though. Wait, so you can lose the condition? What happened? For me, my doctor told me it was from extreme conditioning due to sports. My body essentially knew that I needed more O2, so it made my blood more thick. In order to do it, Diaz told me to keep an eye on it throughout my life, and over time my red blood cells count has decreased. Almost 15 years later, and my red blood cells are still thick, but not too much more than the average person. Not enough to be concerned about. I don't know if this is an unfair advantage, but I can control my own dreams. If I'm having a nightmare I can stop it and change it to something else. Always did this since I was kid. I have the opposite of lucid dreaming. I have night terrors, and I will realize in my dream that I'm dreaming. However, I will be like, oh no, I hope they don't do this, and then that exact freaking thing happens, and some of those moments or scenes from those dreams are now intrusive thoughts. So that's cool, right? This actually is kinda lucid dreaming, you just don't control it yet. When you go to bed, try repeating something in your mind you'd prefer to have happen over and over, and when you realize you're asleep, hopefully that will come to you first. I'm not great at it, but lucid dreaming rocks. I'm quiet, so people open up to me. It makes gathering information easy. OMG, trust the amount of stuff people have spilled to me just because I'm quiet. It's all fun and games until you look up from something and embodies crying suddenly. Born with loving parents in a developed country. Born blonde, blue-eyed, white male in the 1960s to educated parents who valued education. Any screw-ups are entirely on me. Born bald, blue-eyed, white dragon in ancient Egypt to educated pharaohs who valued card games. I was born on leap day, so I always have a fun fact about myself. I was born on a Friday the 13th, but I've never thought about using that as a fun fact during icebreakers. Now I will. Thanks. You can always change your name to Jason Voorhees and use it as an icebreaker. Bonus if you use an ice pick to break an ice for a drink while you break the social ice. I have an unusual ability to be happy, no matter what happens. It's probably inherited. My dad's the same way. And people like happy people, so I've had a good life. God, what I would give for one day of just pure genuine happiness. I don't think I've ever experienced that, at least not that I can remember. We are a product of our biology, and I've read recently that depending on how many happy chemicals your body produces, it determines your maximum capacity for happiness. Nevertheless, I think the trick is to find joy in the littlest things in life. When I see a pretty flower, it makes me happy. Cleaning my home makes me happy. Doing a good job at work makes me happy. Stopping in the middle of the day for lunch while I browse Reddit makes me happy. You responding to me made me happy. I try to concentrate on those little moments and hold on to those feelings. Don't wait for big moments to determine your happiness. I have good mental health. They asked for advantages, not superpowers. I can type incredibly fast. 160 WPM was my all-time high. How did you learn? Honestly, I didn't go out of my way to learn or practice, but I learned piano rather quickly growing up as a kid. I think that's what helped lol. Big hands / long fingers for much easier guitar playing. I have basically no natural talents. That means I completely and utterly screwed up the first 2-3 times I try anything. I'm extremely used to being unskilled and failing at the things I attempt. But I think my familiarity with failure is my unfair advantage. The first benefit of being accustomed to failure is that it doesn't deter me. Messing up is so natural that I'm willing to try tons of new things, and I can stick out almost any learning curve without getting beaten up over it. The second benefit is that all of my accumulated failures have made me really good at learning. I don't care too much about looking dumb anymore, because that's just the natural way I look in every new situation. So instead I can focus on exploring mechanisms and finding a holistic understanding, which gives a huge boost to the rate I learn stuff. Basically, my unfair advantage is that I'm so used to failing that I can learn any skill I want, and I thrive very well in iterative environments. For instance, game design. Your natural talent is persistence. Some people frick up once and that's it. They're done. Not gonna touch it unless it's life or death situation. Not you. You're a fighter. My girlfriend is a music prodigy. She has perfect pitch, and her piano skills are really something. So I have a free teacher. For some reason, perfect pitch people tend to play piano more commonly than other instruments. I can play the piano and I can tell if it's out of tune. But I cannot sing, and certainly don't have perfect pitch. At least I know I'm a bad singer. I'm ginger, so I lack a soul. Need mine. It's up for grabs. I'll stick with the innocent ones. I have really insane hand-eye coordination, so most things have come easy to me, which I would consider really unfair, because it's all natural, and not skill-based. I have the worst. As a child, I couldn't grab things fast or always get confused in left hand and right hand. My family always teased and scolded for being a goofball, but over the years it got better. I'm almost 20 and still get confused with my left and right all the time. Not sure if this is an advantage or some weird curse, but I always forget something wherever I go, but always find it. The craziest one was I lost my prescription googles about 700 yards offshore in the ocean, and an hour later, and a mile down the beach I randomly find them washed up. Lost my glasses in a hayfield, dropped my wallet in a train station, and went 4 stations past, and lost my backpack with my passport and social security card in an airport. Not even good at finding stuff. Some random stranger always finds it and returns it. I'd prefer being able to remember stuff. but it does feel nice to see the good side of humanity constantly. That sounds like an excellent short story. All that humanity returned to me. A story of recompense in a thieving ass world. That's a good idea. If I can ever find the attention span to write anything, I'll shoot you a DM. I can reach things other people can't. I'm happy to be of service to my shorter stature comrades. Hahaha, thank you for your service. I love fresh veggies as a snack. So refreshing and crunchy. I wish I had this. I'm more of a Takis Skittles and Red Bull for a snack person lol. I was born without wisdom teeth. I was born without teeth. I was born without wisdom. Mid 40s, and my house is mortgage free. I have no debt aside from my cars. I have money in the bank, and I'm retired. This, plus my kids get along well with me, and seem to like having me around. 21 meters, 18F, 13 meters. I'd do anything for them. How did you retire so young? According to his post history, he fell 15 feet at work and became a paraplegic and won $4 million in a lawsuit. I'm naturally a confident person. Never been depressed, suffered from anxiety, or felt weird about asking for more from work, life, or whatever. Compared to a bunch of folks I know, it feels like a superpower sometimes. Please elaborate more. How you do that? I really want to be like that, and still wondering if it's possible or not. TBH, I have no idea if it's teachable. I've never tried. But I suppose I can explain how I see things. First, I approach just about any/every situation with an air of it will probably work out. Then, if the outcome/situation changes, I rarely get caught up in what it was supposed to be and just go with what is. By not trying to control/plan for everything, it makes a lot of worries and concerns disappear. Plus, 9/10 times, even though you didn't get exactly what you were expecting, it worked out pretty good anyway. I see a lot of my anxious friends fret over tiny details and slight errors that, if they just took a step back, they'd realize that the fretting was more challenging than the error itself. Second, I recognize that people rarely spend much time thinking about other people. We mostly think about ourselves. So saying or doing something slightly awkward really is only memorable to you. So when it happens, laugh it off. It's a blip and time for them, and it is for me too. I also think like this about recognition too. Your boss/partner honestly doesn't realize 7/10 of things you're doing, let alone how hard you're working to do them. You have to tell them. You have to vocalize your successes, and, in the case of work, use those successes to ask for more, rather than waiting/hoping for someone to recognize them independently. Third, I like myself. That's not to say I don't have plenty of flaws. I'm short, now fat, THX covered, and I'm extroverted to the point where it can become annoying for people. But, everyone has flaws, and my strengths/good qualities far outweigh the flaws. Flaws just give us something to improve, not obsess over. To end this off, I have a fair diverse group of friends, and the joke we make is that I approach most situations like the stereotypical straight white guy. I assume I bring value to any room I'm going to be in. If I don't/won't, I adjust, of course. I don't actually want to be the stereotype, but when you work from that starting point, it's a lot easier to do things like make friends, get a raise/get a better job, or even get a date. I don't know if any of that will be helpful, but hopefully it will be. No matter how much sleep I get, I'm always rested and cheery when I wake up. I have to give myself a motivational pep talk to get myself out of bed to go to class after like 10 hours of nice, undisturbed sleep. I always find money. When I was a child, I was going out with my parents and saw a wallet on the road beside the curb. That wallet was stuffed with bills. We turned it in, of course we are Canadian. The owner turned up and was very grateful that he had not lost his mortgage payment. I was rewarded with a $5 bill. I'm here to tell you that 55 years ago that reward to a child was a fortune. Well, since then I seem to have developed a knack for finding floating money. I have always had this thing where I look down when I walk. Well, not so much today because I'm an adult with some self-esteem, but back then, I just found a lot of spare change. It was not at all strange for me to make $2 or $3 a month in change. It doesn't stop there, however, because money can be made of paper too. I'm always finding 5s, 10s and 20s. I just found a 22 weeks ago while walking my dog by a tourist attraction. One time I was walking down the street on a windy day. 3 20s came spinning in the wind and virtually threw themselves into my hand. I purchased an armoire off Craigslist that turned out to have $400 hidden under a drawer. I could go on. Sigh. If only I was as lucky in love. My grandma would say that you helped out a leprechaun when you were young and he blessed you. It was the leprechaun who dropped his wallet first. I can sleep when I want, where I want, and how I want in a matter of seconds. And even if I'm not tired. Cilantro tastes like soap to me, but I don't find the taste of soap unpleasant. Finally someone who understands me. I hate cilantro for that reason. Apparently it's a genetic thing. Some people can eat it fine, others get that weird taste. I was born rich enough to enjoy a comfortable life in an extremely expensive city to live in, but I wasn't born rich enough to be born to complete scumbags in a vicious social circle that's goddamn rife with questionable ethics and social climbing. Because most of my friends are in the same situation or better, I have gained some insight on this screwed up social environment. I have one foot in and one foot out, so to speak, therefore allowing me to both see what goes on inside the circle, but also know that what goes on is screwed up to the highest degree. I personally believe that I was born to good people who taught me that I was probably among the luckiest kids in the world and to be grateful for what I have. Anyways, sorry for the long post. Warren Buffett said something along the lines of, I want to give my kids enough so that they could do anything, but not so much that they could do nothing. I feel like that's kind of what you're getting at. Yeah, that sums it up pretty well. But, like, Buffett's a billionaire, isn't he? I have an A photographic memory. Being an A student was pretty easy because I could remember almost everything I read. I'm kinda similar, but with stuff I hear. Very slow reader, but the sciences and math came naturally. Also, having a father who was in my career path came in very handy. That and having an intact household, and being upper middle class. My body isn't able to store much fat for some reason, so no matter how much I eat and how little I exercise, I never become overweight. I'm the same. I agree there's advantages, but I hate when people remind me I'm skinny. I know I'm skinny. I don't remind you you're a fat idiot. People don't really tell me I'm skinny, but they do give me weird looks when I eat multiple high-calorie meals a day and still don't gain weight. I can estimate the perfectly sized Tupperware for any given amount of leftovers on the first try. When crap hits the fan and life is looking down, I can rely on the fact that I'm consistently good at one thing at least. When I'm hanging clothes, 9/10ths I'll grab the exact number of hangers I'm going to need. It makes me smile so hard every single time. People can't hurt my feelings if I really don't want them to. Things they say, I just learn to let it all slide right off. Thanks, super abusive family and friends, for all the lessons in resilience. When I had my breakup, I didn't feel anything. I was more like, okay, I believe what led to this was the last sentence she said, and I, at that moment, stopped right there. After some days, she contacted one of my friends to check on me so that I had not harmed myself or done something wrong, as I stopped all contacts with her. I was playing COD when he told me this and I chuckled. Guess who came after 7 months with the idea of patch up? And when I said no, she started calling me names, abusing me in all ways. I just turned off my phone. My mother is supportive of every career field I may pursue. I've never had any pressure to be a doctor or a lawyer, and I've never experienced any negativity when going into the arts. Same. Parents didn't even blink when I wanted to study philosophy. Despite the horrible employment in opportunities, I'm now a fairly successful business consultant. I teach in a very low income school, and I have a much easier time building meaningful, fruitful relationships with my students than my female colleagues do, because many of our students are raised not to respect women. I hope you use your privilege to help them unlearn that behavior. I teach freshmen, so a lot of what I teach has to do with leaving old, childish behavior behind and learning how to be an adult with good habits and high moral fiber. So yes, we definitely do address this, and we talk about where it comes from, why it's destructive, and how they can break the cycle. For the most part they are receptive and don't actually want to display these behaviors. They just repeat what they see at home. So we do our best to model the proper behavior, giving them something better to imitate. Also, my female colleagues are amazing teachers in their own right, and just because they have this extra barrier to get through, doesn't mean that they don't also build meaningful, productive, lifelong relationships with their students every year too. I'm just at an advantage, where I'm starting in an easier position than they are. I'm 6 feet 3 inches at 15. Take care of your knees and ankles. May I add to sit up frickin' straight. Signed 35-year-old tall guy with back problems. I don't care that I'm weird, and I don't wear it like a suit of armor. I don't care that I'm weird, and I have a suit of armor to prove it. I can make the best out of my paycheck, and ignore peer pressure and luxury. I was born into a 2-parent home in a situation where even though we struggled, I never missed a meal, and had a place to sleep. I also have a great family who really support me in everything I do. Even my older siblings weren't this lucky, but I'm very thankful for being born like this. I can speak/understand more than one language. Apparently, this is considered a superpower to have in my city. Definitely is. When I was 6 I could do greetings and count to 10 in like 4+ different languages because of shows I watched. Wish I had kept up with it and learned back then when it was easy. Try getting back into it, it's never late. I became bilingual at around 13. Stopped trying to learn new languages till I was 20, but now at 22 I can understand 5 and speak 3 fluently, trying to nail the 4th ATMXD. I'll learn and adapt fast. It's like having a baseline level of skill higher at almost everything. Same. Master of none though. Yes, I was about to comment that my ability is that I can easily be well above average at just about anything. But that has led me to switch interests/hobbies so often that I've never become great at any one thing. My little brother will willingly and openly tell me he loves me in front of his friends and on text. He is the second man I've ever loved, right after my dad. I know he'd go through hell and back for me, and I'd do the same without a second thought. I love that kid. That's so sweet. You are lucky to have a sibling like that. My family have never said the word love, but I know they are there for no matter what. I bought a house in August 2008. Apparently the low point of housing crash was July 2008, so I missed it by a month. Anyways, the house has more than doubled in value since then. I'm a decently attractive white male American. If that isn't playing life on easy mode, I don't know what is. In the words of Louis CK, you can't even hurt my feelings. I'm not attractive enough to have things handed to me in life, but I'm also not unattractive to the point where people mistreat me based on my appearance. It's freaking wild how people mistreat ugly people in any setting. Money. My parents taught me how to invest at a young age, and I was able to retire at the age of 39 with a lifetime of dividend coming in, so I'll never have to work again. I don't think any kids I grew up around had any interest in the stock market. I thank my parents every day for showing me how to make my money work for me instead of the other way around where I have to work for money. Teach us your ways, oh wise one. Seriously, where do I start? I'm late to this, but I really want to learn. It may be too late for me, but I want to help my kid. I'm well spoken, articulate and have a large vocabulary. I'm often mistaken for posh when I'm actually just poor ghetto street trash. Basically I'm like Lip from Shameless, except way less intelligent, not an alcoholic, and not a ladies man. So, absolutely nothing like Lip. My charisma stat is apparently off the charts. People love me, and I have absolutely no idea why. I'm awkward and never know what to say. My wife says it's not fair how effortless I get people to like me. My husband is like this in casual situations. He makes friends easily. My family loves him more than they love me. He's a social chameleon. It's really interesting to watch. He somehow completely loses this when he's at interviews. I can't explain it. Funny story. I was born with an extra toe, which on the surface doesn't seem that useful, but boy did it come in handy later on. Let me explain. Basically I started doing gymnastics in school and was the star pupil. I had told my coach about my situation and he thought the toe gave me extra stability and gave me private lessons after school because he saw the potential. Eventually I got to the regionals and won it by a very lucky amount. After that I got scouted by an Olympic coach called, look at my username,